Never in the history of the world have the merchants of obscenity had available to them the modern facilities for disseminating this filth. The onslaught of the communist masters of deceit.
Bingo. Comma. Slugs. Bingo. Comma. Slugs. Bingo. Comma. Slugs. Bingo. Comma. Slugs.
Hello, Marlo.
What's up?
Nothing. I just had a sneeze attack right before I went to make the link. So fair warning.
Well, my family has a curse where essentially the older relative has sneeze attacks and the younger relatives make fun of them, and then they are cursed to have sneeze attacks in their old age.
Oh.
It's been going on for 10 generations. All the way back to ancient Rome.
Oh, boy.
When Geminus Thessalonicus, the elder, had a sneeze attack.
It checks out to me.
Yeah.
Right. Hi, Steve. Steve's here, finally. To catch you up, I had a sneeze attack. Marlo's family cursed by sneeze attacks. I mentioned I watched Space Jam. He did not watch Space Jam, but he has let me know that nobody should watch Space Jam, basically.
As Marlo will do.
Well, also, I was going to point out that Casablanca itself is a simulacra and has itself become not a reference to Casablanca, but a reference to Looney Tunes.
Yeah, no, that's like how Apocalypse Now is now the Vietnam War more than the Vietnam War.
No, this is total Baudrillard shit. We're breaking new ground. But also the other thing you missed was Naked and Afraid with the fam. Yeah, Naked and Afraid is I would say there is 3 kinds of survival shows, not counting Survivor, which is its own thing. And that is Bear Grylls, Les Stroud, and Naked and Afraid.
I'm a Les Stroud.
Yeah, no, Les Stroud is the person for the smart types who want to see a person actually giving a shit about what he's doing. Bear Grylls is for the dumbest fucking people on earth. And Naked and Afraid is a game, and it presents itself as a game. It saves you from the super gamey bullshit that Survivor has. But at the end of the day, it's a game, and that's what you're watching it for, and it's enjoyable on its own merits.
How do you win Naked and Afraid?
By not tapping out for 60 days, because this is Naked and Afraid.
60 days?
That's
why this... not know how long.
Well, okay, this is Naked and Afraid XL. This season is Naked and Afraid XL, and what they do is they take...
Do they have to stay naked for 60 days?
I mean, if you manage to kill a deer and make a loincloth, you can wear it. But yes, you do not get clothes made by society. This season, they are in the Louisiana Bayou. Ooh. It's actually this past season. And they placed them very strategically for 60 days where it was... fall, and it's Louisiana, so they're hitting 90 degrees days, but it's fastly approaching winter where you're going to get 38 degree nights, let's say. So yeah, it's got a good mix, and they're basically reliant on, they all have alligator hooks. So they are reliant on hoping to roll those dice and catch a gator as their main food source. But of course, as the winter rolls around, the gators become less prevalent. It's not like Survivor where it's you have your tribes that are competing. They're divvied up into 3-person to start. And if someone gets either a serious injury where there's essentially a TKO where the producers say, yeah, you cannot continue, your health is too bad, or you broke a bone or whatever, yeah, you're out. Or it's just straight up, they say, yeah, fuck it, I'm out. And that's how you get eliminated. Yeah, I mean, there's no prize or whatever. It's just like, yeah, trying to tough it out for the time period.
There's no prize.
No, there's no prize whatsoever. No, there's absolutely no prize. No, I think there's a like trail mix company that'll give you a sponsorship and you can like go on some stupid ass commercial, but no, there's no like actual prize. You know, so the one dude is like, it was this dude who like basically had the correct strategy, which was for like 6 months before this show starts, I'm going to put on just an insane amount of weight. And so I'm going to be okay for like a couple weeks if we don't get food. And he was with 2 very tiny women who basically got cold and tapped out. So he's alone right now. And eventually the producers like basically called an audible and were like, you know what, dude? There's a tribe that has one dude who tapped out. Go join them. And so, like, they kind of, like, occasionally will mix it up. There's, like, no rules because, like, it's not a game in the sense where people are actually competing for a prize. So, like, they'll constantly call audibles. This one dude, same guy, actually, he, at one point, he was fucking around on a tree branch, snapped, pierced his scrotum. It's just like call it like it is. It pierced his scrotum. And they were like, okay, you know what? Here's the deal. Either you tap out right now, or you know what? We'll let you stay, but you have to accept that we'll stitch it up with rawhide. And he's like, yeah, do the rawhide thing.
Yikes.
Yeah, no, this shit, it's a fun fucking show. It fucking rules.
So how was Space Jam 2? And what's Marlo's argument against watching it?
I would say Space Jam 2 was far more weird and sad than I expected it to be. Not actually the plot being sad, but like, oof.
Like the references being sad?
So I'll put it this way, that quite literally the villain of the movie is kind of the movie itself. Okay. It's an algorithm personified hamily by Don Cheadle.
Okay.
Basically, he has this intention to utilize all the Warner Brothers like intellectual property in like really like cool ways, but when whatever's pitched to LeBron is rejected, the algorithm basically zaps LeBron and his son into a sort of computer world.
It's an algorithm-driven, like, written movie where the bad guy is an algorithm that writes movies.
Yeah, essentially. And a lot of hullabaloo had been sort of, you know, done over. Oh my God, what the fuck? The Clockwork Orange guys are in the, like, crowd here?
Yeah.
Like
yeah, dude, every Warner Brothers property is.
It's fucking insane. I cannot emphasize to you how fucking, like, deeply insane it is. So yes, the fucking whatevers, the gang from Clockwork Orange, the people who do a rape in the beginning of Clockwork Orange are in the crowd watching the basketball game.
And they're like, oh man, I just got all bruvs.
So
give me some milk. I'm going to go do a raping and then go to a...
Steven, yeah. I feel very bad that you forgot any of the linguistic quirks of that movie.
I don't. I loved reading it in the foreign language that he made up, but whatever. It's like
Kubrick's a hack. You heard it here
British.
First.
It's like
I don't love Clockwork Orange.
No. I think the book is amazing though.
I did read the book, but the movie, I honestly, the first time I was ever shown it, I really did not like the rape in the beginning where they cut off her clothes. And I didn't really. That
was just the 70s though. That happened in like every other movie in the 70s.
It was just like, I was like very creeped out. And then I did not watch it till later, like trying to be like, you know, I watch things that will one day be in the Criterion collection.
I'm pretty sure Clockwork Orange was the like freshman class of the Criterion Collection.
Yeah, absolutely. So whatever. Some people clocked it in the trailer for Space Jam 2. But there were other very strange... okay, there is a character in the crowd who is featured prominently multiple times that is literally Vanessa Redgrave's scary nun character from a 1971 movie called The Devils.
What?
I am not joking here. It makes no fucking sense. It's not even an iconic, like it looks good,
I mean, this is like very literally the culture industry in a extremely blatant manner. Like just the straight up, like
give me some Adorno right now, Marlo.
Give me some Ludwig van. Matt played that over that. But anyway, no, I mean it just is like there's no context to anything. Like I'm like trying to, and I haven't seen it, but I've seen a lot about it, and like I've seen clips, and I think that I understand what it is.
I read the Wikipedia page is Marlo's I know thing.
No, this is actually, I've seen people posting about this all fucking day and posting clips of it and talking about it. And I mean, okay, so like you compare it to the original, and the original is a bad movie. The original is not a good movie. It's, if you like it because of nostalgia. If you revisit it, it's not really good. Whatever, though. At the very least, the original was an idea. And you just compare it to 2, where it's like they have to make, what's his face, a cartoon. God damn it, LeBron. Yeah, thank you. They have to make LeBron a cartoon because why are they doing that? Because that saves on the days you need to pay LeBron to be on set. They're basically just not giving a shit. It's not directed towards children. It's directed
there's like nothing for children. Like it was. So I'll put it this way. At one point, Bugs Bunny does an MC Hammer.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Bugs Bunny joined the Clockwork Orange rape
I wish.
gang.
I fucking wish. Bugs Bunny does MC Hammer, like, can't touch this. And I was like, literally, who but people my age, a little older, a little whatever, would even fucking recognize this?
To be fair, it's a common thing from cartoons forever that we're going to throw references in for the parents who are watching this with their children.
But this was
to give them
that.
something to chuckle about.
We know that. But this
this is not even. No, I'm agreeing with you. This is not even that. It is not for children. They are not throwing these references in. They have a fucking Rick and Morty cameo.
There's so many. There's a lot of very obvious, weird, unnecessary cameos on top of the weird people in the crowd where you're like, this character? Why would you be this one?
Okay, the second Rugrats movie. Terrible movie, but it had a very, I'm going to say, tastefully done Godfather reference in the beginning that is for the parents who know Godfather references to just chuckle at. But, you know, it's a fucking, but like this is Rick and Morty. This is like just not for for people who have children.
Are you guys familiar with Big Chungus?
Yeah.
Bugs Bunny briefly turns into the Big Chungus, like with the cartoon LeBron. Like it's literally the youngest reference in the entire fucking thing.
Like go through the levels of simulacra to get to Big Chungus in Space Jam 2, where it's like, it's a meme that's a frame from an old Bugs Bunny cartoon that showed up on 4chan at some point that then like became a whole fucking thing for 5 years and now is in the fucking Space Jam 2 movie.
Yeah. But
we're gonna presumably get to Cuba, folks.
So
this is our Cuba.
So basically, after part of the plot is that LeBron's son doesn't want to play basketball. He wants to make video games. He's a coder. And LeBron is like, nah, you got potential on the court. And then they get sucked into this fucking serververse, is I think what they call it. And
it was also way cooler when the original Space Jam, when cartoons just
aliens.
lived. Well, no, but the cartoons lived inside a hollow Earth.
Yes.
This is like just under a golf course.
Yes, this is like a very sad multiverse.
It's like a weird Tron thing.
I think we should call this episode, This is a Very Sad Multiverse.
Yes, it is very sad multiverse. So basically the algorithm is like, oh, in order to get out of this serververse, we're going to play basketball, in this place.
Because that makes sense.
Because it makes sense. And also, I'm kidnapping your son, and you've got to make a team of whoever you can find. Bye. So then LeBron's like, I got to do this to save my son. And the only beings that he can seemingly call upon are initially Bugs Bunny, who for some reason is all alone in Toon World because all the other Looney Tunes have gone to other Warner Brothers IP worlds to hang out. So that is when Yosemite Sam is in Casablanca, and we end up with Lola Bunny in Themyscira with the Amazons.
We have to also point out ugly feminist Lola Bunny.
Yes. What's the Arrested Development? She's got a surfboard.
Oh, yeah.
She's got a surfboard. That's...
Yeah. With the guy from Scrubs. Yes. Anyway, Lola Bunny.
Lola Bunny, get out of the picture. You got a surfboard.
Yeah,
so
I can
Lola
no longer
Bunny
titty fuck the rabbit.
In the Wonder Woman universe. But LeBron assembles all of them. He tries to sort of seek out, like literally Superman and etc. to play on his basketball team, but he can only get like the Looney Tunes. Meanwhile, the algorithm, who I believe is going by Al G Rhythm, he is training up LeBron's son to be like a crazy, super powered e-boy.
Hey, why don't I do a look back review show of Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Just because this is reminding me of that fondly, and I'd like an excuse to watch that movie again.
Yeah.
That's a lovely. I love that movie.
That's a good human animation.
And
package.
Also tastefully playing with IPs in a way like back when that was like unique and interesting. Territory.
Yeah.
I mean,
Space Jam 2 is like almost incredibly cynical, whereas something like Roger Rabbit was like, it was very novel.
Even Space Jam 1, it's a terrible movie, but at least they were like, it was different. I mean, Who Framed Roger Rabbit obviously came first, but like having that cartoon plus real live action was still sort of novel at the time. Jordan acting, it was interesting. Like the whole thing like was at least kind of a phenomenon, whereas this is just an afterthought that is just there.
Wasn't the subtext of the movie that he was over the hill doing minor league baseball and had a gambling addiction?
Yeah, it had a real fucking reference to a down in Jordan's career as well. And it sort of like was essentially recapturing these tabloid stories that have been floating around about Jordan's career to make that kind of the nub of the subtext drama of the movie, which is the fun idea to do. And it's like LeBron doesn't really have that because he's just fine.
And also the fucking soundtrack. I know Ariel loved the soundtrack more.
Well, that's the other thing. That's the other thing is that I feel like they're just hitting us.
Space Jam. Yeah, no, that song fucking rocks.
I feel like a lot of it was to try to get us to forget I Believe I Can Fly was a part of the first
I
Space
do not
Jam.
forget that. That was an iconic scene.
And also a great fucking song.
Yeah.
Not a good person, but like a cool song.
I believe I can fly.
But that was actually
I
integral.
believe I can start a rape cult.
Well, that was actually integral to R. Kelly's, like, sort of rehabilitating his image in this certain way that allowed him to be an even, more prolific predator.
Okay, so what you're saying is Space Jam 2 at least was not a party to as many rapes as Space Jam 1.
So far, so good.
Okay.
So I'd put it.
Okay.
But they did have the rape gang from Clockwork Orange.
They did have the rape gang from Clockwork Orange, though. So, God damn it. Like, it's so weird to me. Like, okay, yeah, the White Walkers from Game of Thrones, fucking, like, all this other shit. But
I don't care if we talk about it. But I am going to watch so much Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
All right. What about Space Jam 3?
Who's the basketball player that's going to be in Space Jam 3?
Well, it's going to be LeBron's son, and he makes a video game which he enters into.
Yeah, no, that's actually
This
correct.
is actually part of the plot of this one. So
no,
Space Jam 2.5 Reloaded.
Steven has a good thought, which is that Space Jam 3 will not even follow the formula of we're at least going to get the current star basketball player. It will just be a back reference to Space Jam 2. And it'll just be like characters from Space Jam 2.
It'll be like Stranger Things, but with basketball as the thing that they like.
I'm not sure where you're going with that, but yeah.
It'll be like Stranger Things, but with basketball as the thing.
It'll be like
Tron. What are they like on real Stranger Things, Steve?
Yeah, like what are you like? Basketball will be the Dungeons and Dragons.
They like finding aliens. They like
D&D, dude.
They like D&D. They like 80s things back in the 80s.
They like getting groomed by Drake.
Space Jam 3, Drake.
No, my point though is it will like abandon, because getting a new basketball player assumes that anyone even watches basketball anymore, whereas we'll instead just watch cultural references to basketball. And as a part of this continuing march to hauntology, see, I can like explain to, if I just say the word hauntology, Stephen listens to what I'm saying.
Well, I was wondering when we were going to get to hauntology tonight.
Yeah, well, because it's actually closer to the culture industry. But, I
mean, it's also there in Cuba, too. Let's be honest.
It will just be filled with references. It'll no longer be the formula. It'll just be a direct sequel to Space Jam 2.
Which I think, again, like the LeBron James son.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. I'm agreeing with you.
The equivalent of that. And I think what they'll do is they'll make a video game first. And they'll do like the Resident Evil thing where they make a video game of Space Jam 3 and then they turn it into a movie.
Well, I mean, that's also like the Mortal Kombat. They make movies out of video games. They've been doing that.
That is true. They do that.
They're usually bad.
Which one is good?
Chronicles of Riddick. No, actually, never mind. No, the movie sucks. The game's really good, though. But the game was made off of the movie. That's the thing. So they make games out of movies and movies out of games. Riddick is the one where the game was made out of the movie, but the game is better than the movie.
I hope the next Space Jam is actually the next
BoJack Horseman?
No.
Was BoJack Horseman in Space Jam 2? That would have been cool.
I just recently started rewatching it.
Oh, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's good. I think it stands up.
Which TV network is Warner Brothers associated with?
They have CNN, obviously. They have
WB.
Yeah, WB.
Warner Brothers.
Yeah,
I thought that was part of Fox, though.
No, not related.
Well, I'm just trying to see what other IPs I can
the WB Frog, I'm pretty sure was in the first Space Jam. I do remember the WB Frog. I think he actually was from originally a Looney Tunes short, and then it just
do you not know where you don't know where that Frog's cartoon? You've never seen this?
Okay, fuck me. What are you going to tell me?
It's a fucking frog that can sing and dance, but then when the guy takes them and shows people, he's just like, ribbit.
Oh, right. Yeah, that shit.
Like that's that guy. That's how I feel when people are like, "Oh, you're a stand-up comic. Tell me a joke." I just want to be like, "Fucking ribbit."
Yeah.
Fucking wait to see me in a stupid basement somewhere. Also, I did look up what exactly is Bugs Bunny's accent as I watched it last night.
It's old-timey Brooklyn.
Old-timey, so it was the old-timey Brooklyn Flatbush accent that eventually just became...
Right, and also he was named Bugs after Bugsy Siegel.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a whole... Yeah, Bugs Bunny is definitely Jewish-coded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If that wasn't clear to anyone, that's canon.
Well, also, though, the carrot is from It Happened One Night in the Clark Gable scene.
Right.
It's kind of...
Warner Brothers owns HBO.
Yeah, so, let us be clear. The simulacra creating machine has been going on for a while because Bugs Bunny himself is an encapsulation of a movie you never saw and speaking with an accent you never heard of. But yeah, no, it's just become a thing for itself at this point.
I just want to know if the next Space Jam could also be a Fast and the Furious movie.
Probably. That'd be the move.
Then it would get
with
good.
Nicolas Cage. With Nicolas Cage.
I fucking loved the Fast and the Furious.
I will just say for the record, I mentioned Chronicles of Riddick earlier. Starring Vin Diesel. Who I'm going to put it out there, guys. I might start a Fast and the Furious specific podcast with my boyfriend, Leland. Fair enough. Yeah.
In preparation for whenever the last one should come out, because we both got some deep dive thoughts about.
I watched the first one after our episode last week.
Yeah.
And didn't hold up really well.
Yeah, no. That's the thing with the series is you have to get to 3 or whatever for it to get off the walls. But the first movie is not a good movie.
But a surprise hit, so...
Warner Brothers owns HBO.
Oh, okay.
And
so why were the Sex and the City girls there?
They also own TNT.
They should have had The Sopranos on to promote many sorts of...
What about these other IPs? Why wait a second. Instead of Sopranos, you got the fucking Clockwork Orange rapists? If you're going to have some rapists, some criminals, we're going to have the Sopranos there. What the fuck? I am upset now. I'm upset. I need to look at the whole Rolodex of possible IPs and really judge.
Now I'm imagining like all of the Breaking Bad characters. Yep. Like Jesse Pinkman coming in.
Well, that's not on HBO, dude.
Oh, fuck.
God damn it. We can't keep track. This is when you want them to just be a monopoly.
Yeah. This is nationalize.
Yeah, fucking nationalize.
And then one movie can just have every reference.
Yeah, one movie to rule us all. One mono movie.
Oh, man. Space Jam 3.
Yo.
One movie to rule us all.
I just gotta say, fuck chess.com right now.
One movie to bind us.
Yeah, no,
what happened on chess.com, Marlo?
Well, no, because I just lost a blitz game because someone basically pinned my queen to the king, and whatever, it happens, it's blitz. But then chess.com douchily had a pop-up about king safety and how you should think about that sort of thing.
They do that thing, and it's very condescending.
It's incredible. I want to fucking strangle this website, and specifically Danny Wrench right now. Fuck you guys. I'm aware that I shouldn't have done that. But thanks for telling me. Anyway, they should combine all IPs into one thing and just have one monoculture film that references everything that ever was, from the Venus of Wallendorf to, I don't know, whatever something newer than that is.
Well, okay. So what would you have in that mono one? Venus of Wallendorf. Fucking. What comes after that for you? Roger Rabbit.
Well, the Epic of Gilgamesh got to be in there.
Got to be in there.
We're going through chronological.
Yeah.
Everything man has created. We will chronologically reference in order.
Minoan snake titty women.
Absolutely. Mycenaean Greeks, normal Greeks.
Who threw a shirt on it?
Yeah. Whatever the fuck was going on with Stonehenge, that's going to be in there.
Beowulf.
Yeah.
Grendel.
Loki, that time that he turned into a lady horse to get fucked by a male horse in order to distract the giant from building that wall because he promised the giant that he would get immortality if he could finish the wall in a certain number of days. And then Loki gave birth to the seven-legged Sleipnir. That's going to be in that. Yeah, absolutely. All of it. Oh, Stand and Deliver. There's going to be a whole Stand and Deliver scene. That the Mexican's going to teach a bunch of Mexicans how to do calculus. Shit. No, it's going to be that one scene where...
How do I get to these kids?
No, but the Finger Man scene. Does anyone know the Finger Man scene? That's
yes, I do know it.
Oh, Finger Man. Oh, you do Finger Man. Oh, I have Finger.
What's not Asian?
Yeah, well, you know what? That's not my problem. That's the movie's problem. I don't.
Wasn't he Mexican?
Yeah, well, I'm not going to answer if this dude's Mexican accent sounded Asian. I'm just doing his accent.
How do I reach these kids?
What's 9 times 1? 1, 2, 3, 4, 9. It's 9. Yeah, there's going to be that scene in it. Does anyone remember the Haley Joel Osment follow-up to Sixth Sense, Pay It Forward?
Yes.
Yeah, that's going to be in there.
Okay. Fair.
Casablanca, because that rules.
All About Eve.
Oh, yeah. Killing Eve.
Yeah, both of those.
Something About Mary.
Taming of the 10 Things I Hate About You. Clueless.
Octopussy. That's the only movie in James Bond that will be referenced.
That's it.
I hear there's an Octopussy.
Tales of Genshi, whatever.
There's an Octopussy bar. I've been doing this job where I track down Instagram stars, and one of them went to the Octopussy bar and was reading Ian Fleming's Octopussy with the Octopussy bar, which also had an octopus coming out from the bottom.
Nice.
That's pretty cool.
I do like octopus.
Calvin and Hobbes, that's going to be in there. Fuck you, Bill Watterson, and your wishes.
Peanuts Universe.
Red Wall.
This sounds like a great movie.
Michael Crichton's Timeline.
All of the Fast and the Furious for Bunny.
Yeah, no, this shit's gonna roll. Animorphs, both the book series and the short-lived and critically panned Nickelodeon series. Anyway, that's enough naming things that exist.
I don't know. Is it enough after seeing Space Jam 2? I never know. I really don't.
Oh, yeah. No, actually, if Space Jam 2 taught us anything, it is we don't have to think of things anymore. I can just
there's nothing new, which is
I can
fine.
just look at my bookshelf and read the spines of each of these books, and that's content.
That's true.
Do we want to acknowledge Cuba exists?
Cuba does exist.
Cuba does exist. That's our baseline. Cuba does exist. I'm, often angry thinking about it and watching the.
So was Bobby Kennedy.
Yeah, he was. He really fucking hated or wanted Cuba.
Yeah.
Has anybody had any interaction with people who are reactionary fascists about Cuba?
Yeah, I've been posting literally all week about this.
No. Did you interact with anybody?
Oh, the way people interact together. No, that's.
Yeah, everyone I know is a commie about it. So, but It's definitely out there, and certainly,
it's on TV. Speaking of the I was getting into speaking of Baudrillard, and this would be a pretty good case study of Baudrillard simulation.
Yeah, sure. So would like any news story, but yeah, this one would.
Because on one hand, it's the Cuban people have legitimate reasons for protesting, and it is a symptom of, in some ways, a healthy democracy, which Cuba is, if anything, a pretty healthy democracy.
It really is.
It is perhaps the healthiest democracy.
I mean, that's something I'll get to later. I'll let you finish, but, Beyonce had the best video of all time. I said I was doing a Kanye. I'm going to let you finish.
I forgot what I was saying, so just go.
Honestly, I am not immune to being annoyed by the quote-unquote anti-imperialist tanky, whatever the fuck. But within that, if you are going to make an argument for a single Marxist-Leninist government that emerged in the 20th century, Cuba is that government.
It is the ideal. If anything, it really should be considered the model.
It really is against horrific condition. You can't ask for anything else. At the end of the day, you have a fucking country that has been ravaged and impoverished by actions outside of it since before Castro was ever born. And from that, they've managed to do something. And it isn't always perfect. It isn't great. But they're fucking trying, and they're doing a pretty goddamn good job, and they always have. And you can point to whatever you want. You can point to, there are refugees. Well, guess what? There is a country that is extremely wealthy, that is 90 miles from their coast, that has an open advertisement that says, if you get to this country, we will grant you citizenship, and we also have a plethora of privately run charities that will essentially set you up with a salary.
Where you can say anything you want about Cuba.
And I mean, I will not really defend North Korea. I am very skeptical of China. I am not someone who necessarily defends every red-colored country in the world. Yes, you have refugees. You have refugees from Mexico. You have refugees from Central America. They are poor fucking countries, and you can make more money if you live in America as a baseline. You just can. And that's the case, and that gives a draw for refugees. And America is far more tolerant of refugees from Cuba for explicitly political reasons than they are tolerant of refugees from those other countries.
Well, what's going on over there, and why do they have legitimate protests, which I think the Cuban people...
There's a general economic downturn off the back of
tourism.
A unprecedented global pandemic that has affected every country on earth and has caused protests in every country on earth.
And Cuba specifically, in part because of the embargo, relies heavily on the tourism industry there, which has been all but obliterated. And the government also doesn't really have access to global trade, which has made it hard for things like syringes to come in. They made their own fucking vaccine. They made 2 strains of the vaccine by themselves without international help. And then they couldn't vaccinate their own people because they couldn't get enough syringes to vaccinate their own people because of the embargo.
Yeah, and if there were no protests, one might be able to correctly say Cuba doesn't allow protests. There are protests and people are saying, oh, well, some people are getting arrested. And I'm not defending arresting protesters, but what standard are you judging them on? Because no country on earth doesn't arrest protesters. No government on earth accepts the notion that it's worth having an externally imposed regime change to allow certain liberal free civil liberties to a minority of the population. That doesn't happen anywhere. And when you compare it to the United States, or frankly, you compare it to China, where you look at the George Floyd protests, people were arrested there. The George Floyd protests did not ultimately pose an existential threat to the United States regime.
They couldn't.
They couldn't. I supported them, and I support them today, and I don't view them in the ways that certain bucking factions of this terminally online, quote-unquote, post-left think, oh, they're just liberal HR, PMC, whatever. No, I'm not saying that, but no, they didn't ultimately threaten the existence of the United States government. And for fairness sakes, you look at China, which is also extremely jumpy about protests, probably fair to say more so than the United States. But in their case, protests do not threaten the Chinese regime at all. If they let them go, you know, they don't have the United States 90 miles away with a greater amount of resources than they will have in 10,000 years, ready to jump on any excuse to invade them, who consistently had for the past 60 years an active intelligence operation in their country that at best sowed active dissent for the sake of overthrowing the government, at worst attempted and participated in political assassinations. They don't have Miami off their coast that has a community that has fostered terrorism, planting bombs on planes, driving fucking boats to their shores and shooting up hotels. China doesn't have that. They're fucking jumpy about protests. The US doesn't have that. They're fucking jumpy about protests. The U.S. will never be able to invade China and effect a regime change, no more so than China would be able to do so to the U.S. But the U.S. does have that ability if it wanted on Cuba. And
they are gearing
these
up
protests can provide a basis for the United States doing that. So, yeah, maybe the Cubans are a little less tolerant of free speech than the United States, but they have far more to risk. They have far more to lose. And the United States has nothing to lose, and they still fucking arrest people.
They are perhaps the most democratic country in the world, and B, perhaps the biggest exporter of humanitarian aid per capita.
Their size,
per capita.
For their size, they really are. Like, maybe also Nepal has this weird thing where they like really have this odd single-minded dedication to providing like aid any way they can. But Cuba, 100% for their size are one of the biggest providers of global aid in the world. Not just charity. There's a fucking reason Nelson Mandela thanked Fidel Castro. Like, there is a reason.
Well, they went over with their military, right? Like,
in the Angolan Civil War.
Exactly,
They committed more than the Soviet Union committed to the Angolan Civil War.
But I think the point that I want to make is that anyone who says they're anti-democratic dictatorship and one who's saying that they want to liberate Cuba from the Communist Party or communist regime for humanitarian reasons is absolutely up their own ass. Just the biggest fucking reactionaries, because you could not look at any country that size and say that's not democratic for just the amazing local elections that they hold, and frankly their constitution.
It's
incredible.
They have a dedication to participatory democracy
and representative democracy
that they
as well.
stick to. I mean, they really do. And yes, they're a poor country. And yes, there are lofty ideals in the face of someone who is starving. That person will live in the United States if they have the opportunity to, because the other option is we are scraping by as a very poor nation, the same as people are scraping by from very poor nations that have a government that's very cooperative with the United States. Yeah, there are a lot of people who are protesting right now, and they aren't all CIA plans. This isn't a fucking conspiracy theory. They're dealing with some hardship that came from a event that has affected every country on Earth. And yeah, maybe some of the people who got arrested, maybe they shouldn't have been arrested. That happens in the United States. That happens in China. That happens in the UK. That happens in every country on Earth. By whatever fucking standard.
Because of nation state sovereignty is like why protesters get arrested.
Like,
and you know, anarchists have been complaining about these protests or being on the side of them, and obviously Trotskyists have kind of a more
I mean, there's no such thing as Trotskyism at this point. It's a
I wanted to talk about, I went to a Trotskyist event today.
Yeah, I never heard of them. But,
Left Voice.
I mean, I guess I heard of them. I guess I didn't know they were Trotskyists, but whatever. Like, Trotskyists have taken every side on everything. And I mean, that's not even to disparage them as an ideology. It's to say that as an ideology, it's been so utterly fractured however many years that, I don't know. And I mean, anarchism too. I mean, like, frankly, I mean, the fact that Chomsky is the face of anarchism in the modern world, it's honestly silly if you compare him to any anarchist theorist who's come before him. I feel bad judging anarchism for the activities of anarchists, just because it's like, I don't think they have a cogent thing they're even pointing to.
Bonnie, what do you make of all this?
I agree. I mean, all this is just, everything I've seen that I haven't liked. It's been the same old when it comes to Cuba. Just crazy anti-communist takes, like a bunch of shitty white Cubans who came to the U.S. being shitheads. So I agree. Do we want to talk about AOC? Yeah.
I mean, like, whatever. She had a shitty take.
The thing I wanted to point out was that she tried to have it both ways. And
yeah, she did.
And got fucked by both sides because she just couldn't pick a lane.
Yeah, and it's, the liberal curse.
Either it's the embargo's fault that the protests are coming up and we should remove the embargo, or the protesters should, call for an overthrow of the communist regime. And you can't have it both ways.
Yeah,
you can't.
Maybe there are differing opinions about how this should have been handled within the government. I guess that's why it's good it's a democracy. Yeah, some people are protesting because they disagreed with what the government did. That's what you do when you disagree with what the government did. That doesn't mean you should overthrow the government. It means that you're participating in a conversation for how we need to deal with these problems. Yeah, they are making their voices heard, which is so great that they have a government where they can make their voices heard.
Mm-hmm.
And why are people calling it anti-democratic? That's something that has really stuck with me, and it's kind of like really been one of those things that's ticked me off. And I think that the thing that they see as anti-democratic is the one-party state primarily, but also the...
Like, I think something that most people don't realize is that, Castro was not the leader of Cuba for most of the existence of the government he put in place. And, people don't quite understand. At a certain point, he stopped being the active leader of Cuba and was given a ceremonial position because, you know, he was their George Washington. So, yeah, he was like the quote unquote like head of state of Cuba, the same way the fucking Queen was in charge of England. But he wasn't the fucking like tin pot dictator who like what he said when, like, for most of his life.
What I want to point out is that people living under capitalism and in liberal democracies cannot imagine that non-liberal democracies can also be democratic.
Yeah.
And that gives me a segue into plugging. I wrote an article called Democratic Realism, where I discuss how liberal democracies sort of have this super ego where anything that isn't a liberal democracy has to be de facto totalitarian, tyrannical, and repressive in order to justify its own tyranny and repression and anti-democratic stuff that liberal democracies do every day.
I mean, I will say for the record, my most gray zone opinion I have is Iran is sort of okay, actually. That's my most
I'm okay with that.
Bullshit campus opinion I have is Iran is the most free democracy in the Middle East. I'm not going to like totally defend it because yeesh, there's issues, but yeah, whatever, fuck it.
Go for it. I'm down with it.
So I ended up at a Trotskyist event today. Basically, my girlfriend had a friend who was like, come over, we're doing a free store. It's actually kind of common in Brooklyn where you have a bunch of people donate stuff and then you set it up on a stoop and it kind of acts as a garage sale, but without like any transaction.
Okay.
And in the middle of it, there was a table that had all of this Trotskyist paraphernalia and their pamphlets and a manifesto, which I subsequently read as I did laundry. Yeah. And they're like, hey, I hear you're a writer.
Okay, do they actually like have money to pay you?
No, they were very upfront about how they do not have any money to pay. They're like, we're just letting you know, we do not have any funds. This is all volunteer work.
Okay.
Which is par for the course for every leftist political magazine or paper or... I've only ever been paid by right-wingers. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. No, Basker, pay the man.
But I want to say like major cult vibes from this group.
Yeah.
We both got it pretty bad. Like, her friend is cool. It's very friendly. Came up, talked to us. But there was something about the rest of the group that was nice to us, but like skeptical of our every movement.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not exactly my experience with the DSA. And so that was noted. I mean, there is a little bit of like outsiderness, you know.
Yeah, well, DSA has essentially the same like social dynamics of any like group where like some people know each other and hang out all the time. And then
this seemed like that group who, you know, was like hung out and drank together the night before and then set up this like pop-up free store and then, you know, harassed whoever was on the street saying, come and get free stuff, come and get free stuff. And just unloaded a bunch of stuff that they didn't want in their apartments.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that I would join it, but if they asked me to... Right. Yeah. I'm not a. And it seemed like they were very hesitant to tell me about their ideology.
Yeah. No. Well, that's the one thing I remember from the Bernie rally that RevCom showed up to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where it's like I had interacted with RevCom. You go to left-wing protests in New York, and RevCom has its largest presence in New York, and at any protest, they will cultishly turn out a few dozen people. Like they will, if you have a 10-person protest and RevCom signs on, you have a 120-person protest. and they are loud. They all shout the same slogans. They'll do stupid shit. But like also you can talk to them and they're like friendly people and they're nice and whatever. Yeah, I've been marshalling with the DSA. So, like, I'm at all these protests, and I've talked to RevCon people because, you know, you show up and there's, like, some right-wing asshole who has a YouTube channel, and, like, he's just getting in people's faces with a fucking GoPro. And so, you know, you go up to, like, other people, and you go up to the RevCon people, and you say, hey, just FYI, that guy's a well-known Nazi. Here's, like, a printout on him. So just if he, like, comes up to you guys, just let you know. And they're like, oh, thanks so much, and then we talk, blah blah blah. So yeah, we're at this fucking Bernie shit, and RevCom's out, and yeah, they're obviously counter protesting Bernie before they eventually endorsed Biden. They're like out there obviously trying to like say like, oh yeah, all the Democrats suck, and you know whatever the fuck, and Bernie sucks, you know, and like I don't even necessarily disagree with that notion, but they all are like have signs that say Bernie is a bib, and they're handing out literature that says Bernie is a bib. So I go up to one of them and I go, yo, what the fuck does this mean? Just like let me know. And they're like, oh well, you should go on our website. And I'm like, I'm not gonna fucking do that. Just like be normal and like just like
tell me.
It shouldn't like anyway. The fact of the matter is, it was an acronym that Bob Avakian invented for bourgeois imperialist bastards. So like, you know, good for you guys. But like, yeah, it just is like, I know you people are normal. I've spoken to you,
but that's before. Different than the Trots. They were trying to get a read on who I was, and you know, I didn't give them anything. I just said I was a journalist who had written about politics because I was interested in how much they would divulge about what they believed in, and they gave me a rundown of they were going to talk about Palestinian rights and Cuba and what's going on in Cuba, and check out our website and check out these pamphlets, which Trots love pamphlets. They just had so many.
Well, I mean, newspaper is the classic, but yeah.
The funniest thing, which is maybe true, is that Trotskyists are just a front for newspaper production. But we went and they were like, we write from a specifically socialist perspective. And I was like, okay, so that's
interesting.
I didn't know that. I didn't.
What is this you're talking about? I have no fucking
I've never heard of socialism.
Which also I will say, like, I guess the fact, like, when I'm clearly at this event associated with DSA, they know who DSA is. They know who I am. Even in the worst paradoxical, like, idea of DSA they have. And again, I cannot stress this enough. RevCom did, in fact, endorse Biden, and DSA did not. So I just want to say that for the record. We are more to the left than RevCom is at DSA. But yeah, like, I guess when I'm approaching them in that context, it is a little different than when I'm some dude in line for the Bernie rally. But yeah, it just was like annoying because it's like, yeah, it's a cult, but like the people in it are normal fucking people.
Yeah.
Well, fair.
Just ordinary fucking people.
Oh, we should like all watch the first season of Party Down.
Yeah.
That's a fun
show. Well, wasn't it a reference to another?
It was a reference to another thing, but I know it from Party Down, which it reminded me of.
Yeah, which is a great reference.
Yeah, I love that show. It's such a good show. I love it.
Well, they do say fucking ordinary people in an episode of Party Down, but then between two characters, they are confused about what
Repo Man.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, thank you, Stephen.
Look at those assholes, ordinary fucking people. I hate them.
Oh, that's actually a movie I've never watched. And like, it's one of those ones that it's on the list. Bunny, have you watched Repo Man?
I definitely have seen Repo Man. Actually.
Okay. Is it good? Is it actually worth it?
I mean, It's one of these things I watched because I
was in love with Emilio Estevez.
Want to know the reference?
Yeah.
So, no, I do like Emilio Estevez. Okay, that is a truth. I would not argue with that fact. Emilio Estevez, Charlie Sheen's brother.
Yes, I know.
He looks exactly like him.
Yeah.
Everyone
forgets. All right, guys. All right. See you guys.
See ya.
I got a carton of cigarettes. The old man grabbed me and said, "Hey, smoke up, Johnny."
Just ordinary fucking people, man.
Ordinary fucking people, man.
Yeah. Anyway, good night.
Good night.
Night.
La valla mensa, tristes recuerdos de tradiciones, cuando contempla sus verdes llanos, lágrimas vierte por sus pasiones. Sí, lleva en su alma la valla mensa, tristes recuerdos de tradiciones, cuando contempla sus verdes llanos, lágrimas vierte por sus pasiones. Sí, ella es sencilla, le brinda al hombre, virtudes todas, y el corazón, pero si de la patria el grito, pero si siente de la patria el grito, todo lo deja, todo lo quema. Ese es su lema, su religión. Ese es su lema. Ese es su lema, su religión. Su